morning, Toby dog.
How's it going, buddy boy? Huh? Give me my daily dose of serotonin. Thank you very much, my friend. Yes. Aww.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Goldshaw Farm. It is a beautiful spring morning. A little bit gray in the sky, but otherwise it's pretty warm and good temps. I wanted to talk to you guys today about another one of our major projects that we're building this year. So as you guys know about our farm, when it comes to the poultry, our biggest focus has really been with the geese. From a profitability perspective, they make a lot of sense for our farm. Environmentally, they're really great for our farm because they're grazers and they don't have quite the same carbon footprint as, say, ducks or chickens or turkeys. But that said, raising sustainable geese is not exactly a popular thing here in the United States. We had 5 breeders last year and we got 25 breeders now this year. As I start to scale up my geese operation, I'm realizing that there's certain things that I need from an infrastructure standpoint that I don't currently have.
So for example, I'm really running out of nesting space here.
Hey, what are you two doing in there?
Leave Mama Goose alone.
Hey, excuse me, miss. Yeah, as you can see, as we get to the later season of goose hatching season and mating season, they're starting to show some signs of things aren't quite perfect here on our farm. The first thing I want you to notice is we have goose nests starting to form everywhere. So I have a goose nesting in Toby's house now.
I have these two ladies who've been sitting on a nest for at least the last week. That mother goose has been on that nest for about 3 weeks. And then I've had this rotating nest that started to pop up over here as well.
So everywhere I look on our farm, we have geese nesting everywhere. I know that that's really my fault that this is going on. My plan was actually not even to have geese hatch out their own babies this year, but what I've noticed is they have such a strong maternal instinct that they're not like ducks or chickens where if you break up their broodiness, they'll give up on it. They seem to get really depressed and sad if you take away their eggs too often. And so I'm realizing that even if I'm hatching my own eggs inside, I need to give my geese space to hatch if they want to. Like if I'm raising these birds in a way where I'm feeling good ethically about how they're being treated, allowing them to express those natural instincts is important. And so taking their mothering instinct away probably isn't the right thing to do. And then the other thing that's happening right now is my incubator is full. I've got like 100 goose eggs in this one big cabinet incubator I bought. And I'm now realizing that I probably bought an incubator a little bit too small. It's supposed to hold 380 chicken eggs, but right now 100 goose eggs is the capacity. And so I actually need help to hatch goslings if I'm gonna hit my targets for the year in terms of the number of geese I wanna raise. So all of this is a long-winded preamble to say I have a vision for a new structure where I wanna house my geese and my chickens next year, or next winter, I should say. And so specifically what I wanna do is I wanna build a hoop house, something that I can house my birds in the winter. I think the geese and the chickens working together are actually two very complementary animals. And so number one, I like that fact. Number two, I wanna give them a warmer structure. So something that's like a greenhouse where I can capture the solar heat and have them be a little bit warmer than they are in the dead of winter around here.
Our buff geese are still getting introduced to the flock appropriately. Bruce the goose has completely splintered off and now he spends all of his time with our new buff geese. His 2 girlfriends have gone back to hanging out with those geese. Yeah, I think Bruce couldn't resist the call of the other buff ladies. Actually, one thing I want to draw your attention to with our geese too, you'll notice that they have really naked backs of their necks right now. That happens during mating season. All those feathers are going to grow back. You can see these 2 fellows right here, they're ganders. They have completely intact necks right now. One of the easiest ways to tell the difference between a male and female goose is during mating season when you start to notice the feather pulling. Like actually, here's one that's up close that you can see. See how she's missing a lot of feathers on the back of her neck? It's okay, it's totally normal. And then this guy right here, you can see he's a gander. You can also notice too, the ganders are bigger. Their necks are a little bit different in general than the females. I should do a video in the future about how to tell the difference between the two because there's a lot of different ways you can do it.
So after watching folks like Joel Salatin and Justin Rhodes build these awesome hoop house structures where they have these buildings where they're able to like house multiple animals over different seasons. And so what I've actually done is I've designed a hoop house structure that I want to build right here. It's going to be about 100 feet long and about 20 feet wide. I want it to be at least 10 feet tall so I can get my tractor inside of it. And it would basically go right here where I'm standing. The plan would be that in the winter months, I house my geese and my chickens in there. And I even make good brooding space for my geese so that I don't have the problems I'm running into this year. And during those winter months, what I would do is I would use hay and wood chips and pile it in there and use that to capture their manure and soak it all up so that it's hygienically very good and clean. And then when the spring would come, I would clear out the hoop house with my tractor so it wouldn't be too labor intensive to manage. And then in the summer and fall months, what I would do is I'd actually seed the inside of that hoop house with some sort of crop. I'm not sure if it's gonna be like oats or corn or a combination of the two, but something that I can use as feed for the winter months with my geese and my chickens. And so they'd stay outside till late fall like I usually have them. And then when it finally becomes time, I'd bring them inside to this hoop house and they would spend most of the winter inside there. I'd give them outdoor access, obviously, but I'm pretty sure that they're gonna prefer actually living in this hoop house. So over the course of this summer, I intend to build that hoop house structure and get it all set up.
I also probably need to run my water line from right where Pablo is over by the watering station to somewhere over here right by this rubble pile.
I need to grade this whole thing out so it's nice and level and I have a decent drainage situation. And then I need to get a greenhouse kit or a hoop house kit. And as I was looking online, I noticed that the kits that they sell online are like crazy expensive.
More money, more money, more money.
If you think about what the hoop house essentially is constructed of, it's basically metal piping and, you know, the plastic that covers it with, as well as some support wood. And if I look at what they're selling in those kits, it's basically that piping, but oftentimes the piping that they're selling in those kits isn't even the high strength, like really thick metal piping. It's relatively wimpy. And given that we're here in northern Vermont, we have heavy winters and heavy snow loads during those heavy winters. And so that got me thinking and talking. You see, I've got a buddy by the name of Alfred. You guys know Alfred, right?
My buddy Alfred, he lives on down the road. He's a wizard with machines, a genius in blue jeans. Let's stop and say hello. My buddy Alfred, Vermont's best so-and-so. Bricklaying engineer, surgeon, driving heavy gear. Ain't nothing he don't know.
He's built incredible maple syrup evaporators and cranes to pick up stones. And he and I were talking about my dilemma one day. And he came up with this pretty crazy idea of building a pipe bender that would actually let me take cheap metal piping that I could buy from like a hardware supply store and then just bend it to how I need it. And the idea of building this tool really got me thinking about the possibilities. And based on the pictures that he's sending me right now, it seems pretty darn revolutionary.
What's going on, man?
Not much, Morgan. How are ya?
Pretty good.
Got these rollers made. Got some shafts for the rollers made. These bearings and sprockets and keys and everything. Have this carriage made that'll sit inside the frame here. So the design is a ring roller for bending tubes into large radiuses, or probably even small radiuses.
So the idea is that we're gonna try to buy like cheap metal tubing that you can find all over the place and bend it ourselves instead of buying the actual greenhouse kit.
Yeah, that way you can source your own tube, get it, you know, get it wherever you can get it, and you can bend it to suit your needs. So this is the front of the ring roller, actually probably more accurately the top, and this is the back. And you see you have the three rollers we saw over there on the mill, and the pipe will sit inside those grooves there, and this middle roller right here will get driven down between these two rollers by turning this handle. So that handle puts pressure on the pipe in the middle, and then when you have some pressure on, you can hook up a drill to that shaft right there. You can see on the back of the roller right here, The drill connects to that little sprocket, which connects to that big one, and then on the inside of that big sprocket there's another little one which connects to those big ones, giving you an 11-to-1 gear reduction. So you can spin the drill, which spins, you know, those two shafts connected to these two big rollers here, and you pull your pipe through, and with each pass you'll bend more and more of a radius into the pipe. So in the case of your greenhouse, or hoop house I should say, you're looking for 4-foot vertical walls with a 20-foot diameter hoop. So what we'll be able to do is make a mark 4 feet up the pipe, because we don't want to bend that. We can start bending it there. You know, if that's the 4-foot straight section, bend in that radius, because the pipe would be 20 feet long. So if we have 4 feet there, so we'll just have to determine the correct radius. We'll just have to calculate the distance from there to there, which would be done easily enough, you know, with a modeling program, but some trigonometry would help you out in that regard too.
A journey through the wonderland of mathematics.
So what we have here is a circa 1998 3-axis CNC milling machine that I bought at auction. Got a really good price on it. Actually, procuring the mill was the cheap part, but so I've been learning my way around this, because, you know, I'm a stonemason by trade. These shafts here to hold these driven rollers. These are the 2 driven rollers. This right here is the idler that will get you know, that gets pushed down in between the 2 driven rollers. There's just, you know, a lot that goes into it. So now I'm going through and trying to mill out all the features I need. I was able to get this you know, this channel milled out.
How soon do you think we'll be able to start building the hoop house?
I have maybe 3 or 4 more hours of machining left to do on this thing. This device is pretty much done. And what we'll do too is we'll use a lighter wall tube for the hoops themselves, but we'll drive heavier pipe into the ground and cut them all off at the right height, the same height, so, you know, we can establish a perfect plane, and then we'll make couplers that will connect from that heavier wall pipe into the lighter pipe that we're using for the hoops. Basically just going to be staging pins that hold the lighter wall pipe, connect the lighter wall pipe into the heavier pipe, and probably screw or rivet those connections together.
Alfred is really one of my most incredible friends. As a guy myself who's not engineerily minded, it's so amazing to see how Alfred works on things. I'm really excited about the plan that he has, and I'm really excited about the device that he's building. And for those of you guys wondering, like, what exactly are we building? So like I said earlier, it's gonna be a 100 by 20 foot structure. And so that means that we're gonna take this 2-inch steel pipe and bend it to that curve with Alfred's device. You know, one of my favorite books that I got over this past winter is this Polyface Designs book by Joel Salatin. I've spent so much time pouring through it. It's really, really cool, and it's really impressive. And one of the things that it actually has a design for is one of these hoop houses. You know, this is an example of the type of house that Joel Salatin will use. He'll house his chickens in there. Sometimes he'll house rabbits and pigs in there as well. And so this has pretty much the schematic for everything I need to build. The biggest thing that's going to be on me is actually that pipe bending, which is where Alfred's new invention actually comes into play. Now, I know a lot of you guys are wondering if this DIY method is actually going to be cheaper, or if I'm going to wind up spending more in the whole process. And to be honest, I'm not 100% sure. I actually took a little time and did the numbers here, and based on a couple of the quotes that I got, it looks like if I were to buy a greenhouse kit that's, you know, 20 feet by 100 feet, that's 10 feet high, so exact specifications that I need, it looks like it's going to be a cost of about $200 in rebar. The kit itself would cost $8,379. Shipping on that kit would cost $1,093. The lumber is going to cost me $2,200 to build the end walls on both sides. And then it's going to be about $800 in other little special things like some devices to help cool, some things to help with some of the draining and that sort of thing. And so my grand total, if I were to buy a kit, would be about $12,600. As I priced it out for what it would take for Alfred and me to build it here using his invention, it looks like it's going to be about $4,800 in steel for the structure itself, about $450 in hardware to join that steel, It's gonna be about $200 in rebar, about another $2,200 in lumber, same as the other one, $600 in greenhouse plastic, and about $800 again for other things like drainage and temperature control. So as I'm doing the math on this one, it looks like it's gonna save me several $1,000s, and it'd be about a 28% difference in price between the DIY versus the buy a kit. Now I will admit, I don't know how all this is gonna work out. I don't wanna be too cocky to say I have it completely solved. Probably in the month of June, we're gonna start breaking ground on this one, and we're gonna see if we can actually get it built the way we need it to. I'm pretty excited to see what this structure ends up looking like. Be sure to subscribe to our channel if you want to follow along and get the updates, and I will see you guys over there in that next video. Thanks for watching.